meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife.
And how you doing? How you living? How you feeling, folks? It's been a long time, but we're back for another episode of City Night Lights, of course, brought to you by the Idiots Podcast Network. Now, of course, I'm your favorite host. My name is Zach. I'm idiot number 0. And, it's been a little while. We've had a little couple things going on, like graduation, enjoying life, just trying to get everything back into order, studying for those CPA exams. No easy feat right there. Trying to, move up in the world of life. So, with that being said, I can't keep giving you guys excuses. It's time to start talking about this episode. Now, it's been a while since we talked about the Mets. We were pretty high on them early season. Now, I was pretty big on the fact, don't panic yet. Be cautious. It's early. But now we're a little bit over 60 games into the season. Currently, the Mets are 28-37. So that would leave us at right about a .431 winning percentage. Not great. But the one nice thing about being 65 games into the season is that there still is about 100 games left, and on about 97 really. But the one good thing is that due to the fact that the NL is so weak, the Mets don't have to do too much worrying. Now we're going to get into that very soon. But this episode is going to be interesting. We've seen the Mets kind of be a little bit of a disaster over the last month. I mean, outside of the first, I want to say 2-3 weeks of the season, they were bad and they got really good. They got above 500. Since that point, they've been above 500. They've kind of just been spiraling out of control. It feels like when we hit, we can't pitch. When we pitch, we can't hit, and when we can do both, we for some reason can't field. So it just seemingly has become a mess upon a mess upon a mess upon a mess. Quality start Quintana has not really been quality start Quintana, so that's been something that's a little disappointing. I would definitely say Pete Alonso, someone that I personally love. We just haven't really seen him be a major contributor in worthwhile at bats. This Mets team is driving me crazy. I like JD Martinez. He's played limited time. He's looked good, but he's definitely going to be a guy that Mets trade at the deadline. There's no way we don't. We finally got Francisco Alvarez back. I'm excited about that. But to really talk about the guys who have been here, we've seen, Brett Baty not be all too worth it. They've sent him back down to see what Vientos can do with the twig. Baty had decent fielding, just couldn't get that hitting down consistently, so that was a big problem. Like I said, Pete Alonso, in his contract year, I'm really afraid the Mets are going to trade him, but I can't not understand why they would go out and do that. It's just this team is in such a weird point. Like I don't know what to think about this team because they want to be good so bad, but every other player that's not Pete Alonso, not Francisco Lindor are seemingly all the guys we didn't pay are producing, which is kind of killing me, and all the guys we paid are not producing, and this is just a sign of a bad team. Like I want to be able to root for Lindor, but he gives me a very hard time when his on base percentage is under .3. Like, I can't do that, man. He's killing me. I mean, Brandon Nimmo's been decent, but he's batting .217. Like, I know he walks a lot, but it would be nice if we can get that average up a little bit. Jeff McNeil has been an absolute disaster no matter what way you look at it. I mean, this Mets team has just been a mess. I'm really hoping that Mark Vientos now at the third base spot can do something. I don't mind the steal numbers out of Marte, but maybe we get something better out of Marte. I'm glad we finally moved on from Nitto, but we picked up Luis Torrens, some guy we bought from the Yankees this last year. I'm just kind of upset with this lineup because for some reason it really feels like Harrison Bader has been probably our best hitter so far this year outside of maybe a Starling Marte. And that's just a tough way to live when you can't get anybody else to hit the damn ball. Move on to pitching. Sevy's been pretty good. Luis Severino, he's been pretty solid for us through 12 starts. Has a 3.25 ERA. He's probably a guy that's going to be a trade candidate at the deadline. It would not shock me at all. But it's because he's pitched well. And honestly, I've enjoyed watching Sevy. Sean Manaea, he started off the season real hot. Has kind of cooled off a little bit. I would expect him to kind of, get back into a little bit of a groove as this season continues. Quality start Quintana. It looks like he needs to get dropped off the face of the earth. He's been god awful. Tyler McGill has been decent in limited starts, and same thing with David Peterson, but these are two guys that have had significant ups and downs in their career, so I'm very intrigued to see where that goes. And then we also saw, Adrian Hauser get bumped to the bullpen. He's just been so bad starting for us. I mean, that's been a disaster in its own right. I really wish the Mets went out there and picked up Eric Lauer like I had requested the Mets to do several times. But, what do I know? I just hop on here in a podcast. I got like 5 listeners. We make it worthwhile. Outside of that, I guess it's even hard to say. The bullpen's been a bright spot in this team. I mean, Adam Ottavino seemingly gets lit up every time we throw him in the game. Reed Garrett's been good. He was really good in the beginning of the season, but he's kind of cooled off a little bit. Jake Diekman's been a pretty decent pickup for us, so I've enjoyed that. But him being the only lefty in the pen is very painful, especially with the absence of Brooks Raley, a guy that the Mets really heavily depended on. So I don't know if we're going to see him back this year. Tommy John, we're not going to see him back this year. That's unfortunate. Drew Smith is good whenever he plays. Always happy to have Drew Smith on the lineup. Sean Reed-Foley's been having a decent season in limited time out there. And then, now to kind of get into the thick of things, Edwin Diaz, someone who's been kind of a mess this year. And I really hope that post this little IL stint, I hope he's able to come back. And, I know Mendoza, our manager, gave him the go-ahead in terms of getting that closing role back. But I really think Edwin Diaz needs to earn. He needs to show us that he's the Edwin Diaz we've kind of grown to love in New York. And I really hope he's going to be that guy, because as of right now, this team has been very disappointing, especially without a guy like Edwin Diaz at the back of the bullpen to really help close these games. Because I feel like the Mets, they're able to very much stay in it most of the game, and without someone to slam the door closed, especially like a Edwin Diaz on a team that's very unreliable, it's a huge thing to have and to not have it, especially with the way it's been this year. It's just, it makes the team feel like it's very much collapsing around him. Kodai Senga, he'll come back after the All-Star break. In all honesty, I just rather him sit the whole year. Like, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't even know what to make of that. The Mets really currently, they have 2 options. They can either go they can go to sell everybody off at the deadline, or they can go and try to make a playoff push. I mean, the NL is rather weak. Currently, they'd be, let's see, you have the Nationals. Oh, no, Pirates are going to get that. Okay, so Braves got the 1 wild card spot. Padres got the 2 wild card spot. And that leaves the Giants with the 3. So the Mets are only like 4.5 games out. That's not bad, boys. That's not bad. Look, I know this season is, at least especially to me, this season has been very defeating. It's been hard to watch this team play. They've looked like such a mess. They've been in complete shambles. The team seemingly has no chemistry with one another. They're really not gelling the way that, this team has been able to in the past. Especially, I think, some of it kind of stems from that 100-win season. You have such high expectations, then to be so quickly dampered, with a team that spends this much money. It's very unfortunate for the fans, us personally, fans. We have a hard time watching the game. I would love to go to George Costanza night for the Mets and get a George Costanza bobblehead on August 10th. But in all honesty, I don't give a shit about going to Mets games anymore. I don't want to go to a Mets game. Do you want to go to a Mets game? It's like, I'm going to go to a game, I'm going to pay money just to watch you rip the soul out of my body after giving me a little bit of hope for 8 innings. Like, I don't need that. So it's just been rough. The Mets as a team are hard to watch. They're not fun. The players aren't having fun. I mean, Mendoza early in the season looked like he was a pretty decent manager, but it seems like that's going to be another revolving door at the end of the season, if not 2 seasons from now. This team has just become such a disaster. Oh, the Mets are up 5-3 against the Marlins. That doesn't normally happen. Normally we're losing these games. But, there's 2 ways the Mets can go. They can either lean into a playoff push, kind of keep what they have. I wouldn't go, especially in this situation, I wouldn't go out there and try to get more players. But something I think they're going to end up doing is probably selling at the deadline. We have a lot of guys to sell, a lot of valuable assets that we could really bring in for some of these pieces, like Pete Alonso, like JD Martinez, like a Harrison Bader. Hell, I can even see a Starling Marte trade somewhere in there. Severino could be gone, Quintana could be gone. What other random starters do we have on here? fuck it, someone take Joey Lucchesi. He's like Beetlejuice. You say his name 3 times, he'll pop up. But it's just been an absolute mess. It feels like the Mets are going to end up being sellers at the deadline. I could see a guy like Jake Diekman getting dealt, a guy like Ottavino getting dealt. It just, this team doesn't feel like it has any juice going. And it's really sad. This is a team that I had a lot of high hopes for early in the season, at least playoff aspirations, but it doesn't seem to be that way. Now, not saying they can't turn it around. Let's see. In their last, let's check this, because I know they've been kind of decent in their last couple series. So today's currently, what day is it? June 12th. It's a Wednesday. They're currently playing the Marlins. Top 5, it's 5-3. But what I will say is that, the Mets, they lost the Marlins. They split the series with Philly and London. They actually swept the Nationals in a series, which was kind of huge for us, especially being so bad. We split the series with the D-backs. That was big. And then we got, okay, so yeah, that's where we're going to start from. So, 1, 2, 3. So through 3 series, it's been better these last 3 series. We're getting better. It's definitely improvement. We're actually winning a game. We're winning, we're winning more than we're losing, something that the Mets just need to do. They really do. Look, I'll be honest with you, from a fan perspective, it's tough. It's tough to root for this team. It's tough to even talk about this team. I don't know what else to say besides the fact that they've been sucking. I don't know why. It's extremely infuriating. We spend the 3rd most amount of money in the league, yet for some reason every year we're like the 3rd worst team in the league. Like, I don't get it. I don't get how these teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers can spend all this fucking money and be good, and the Mets spend all this money and they somehow suck. I mean, for crying out loud, they had to put in the Uncle Stevie tax in terms of the luxury tax in baseball, and it doesn't even fucking matter because the Mets suck so bad, it doesn't even make sense why they're spending that money. That money is just such a lost cause. It is truly infuriating to the people trying to watch this organization and root for them. Like, how can I support an organization that goes, you know what, I can at least appreciate the fact that they're trying, but it feels like all their efforts are just a complete lost cause and just are extremely infuriating. Like, how is it season after season after season, the Mets find a way to suck? They find a way to suck. They don't start off bad, but they find a way. Their players find a way to fucking blow it up every time, and I just don't get it. I really don't. But with that being said, maybe we can see if the Mets decide they want to sell off, maybe we end up getting Jet Williams in the bigs this year. I know he's currently hurt. Same thing with Drew Gilbert. He's currently hurt, but maybe we see him up in the bigs. So that would be kind of cool in terms of prospects. Another guy we might potentially see up in the bigs this year could be Luis Angel Acuna. That would be kind of cool just to get something going. But at some point, like I've been saying for years now, I think one of the biggest things that the Mets haven't done and have been, I think it's something that's been brutalizing their team is that they haven't been willing to really trade prospects outside of that Francisco Lindor trade. They made that trade. It was very clear that, don't get me wrong, I'd rather have Andres Gimenez, but it's very clear that the Andres Gimenez and Ahmed Rosario for Francisco Lindor ended up working out in the Mets' favor. I mean, I really don't mind that deal. I mean, like I said, me personally, I'd rather have Gimenez. I think he's an all-around just better, more well-rounded player than Lindor has been over his Mets tenure. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, Lindor has great counting stats, but as someone who likes to watch the game and try to enjoy the games, he always, for some reason, has no impact when it matters. He only has an impact when we're down or up by 5. And that's the same way Pete Alonso's been this year. So it's been really difficult that our stars cannot impact the game in any meaningful way on a consistent basis. That has been truly infuriating, and I think that's been one of the biggest, if not the biggest, problem that the Mets have been facing over the last couple of years. But with that being said, hopefully I can get back on the podcast grind. I expect to keep this bad boy going. So, stick around, be on the lookout for more new episodes coming out soon. And, I think that's where we're going to wrap it up here. It's hard to talk about the Mets, and, like I said, I want to try to get more episodes out, more Mets conversation going. Be on the lookout. Potential showdown episode coming in soon for those who know what that means. That'll be a lot of fun. Now, with that being said, I do appreciate you guys coming in, listening to me talk, bitch and complain about the Mets. At least we're having a good time, because that's what it's all about, baby. That's what it's all about. Now, with that being said, take care, take it easy, have a good night, and stay idiotic.